Hello, hello. Welcome to At Home with the Intuitive Cook, the podcast giving a voice to everyday home cooks like you and me. Join me around the kitchen table as we chat about finding cooking ease and inspiration beyond rules and recipes and the noise of celebrity chef culture. It's not rocket science, it's just dinner. Hello, hello. This is At Home with the Intuitive Cook. That's me, Katerina Pavlakis, and my guest at my kitchen table today is Lauren Halberstadt. Lauren was born and raised in South Africa, now living on Australia's Gold Coast, just south of Brisbane. She's a graphic designer with a passion for guiding entrepreneurs on their branding journey in the most creative way possible. And we do agree on one thing at least, and that is that recipes and design templates only get in the way when the mind just wants to be free to create. Welcome to the podcast, Lauren.
I feel like it's been a long time coming,
Yes, I think I feel the same. It's very exciting. I found that we have quite a lot of very similar approaches to things. Kind of our approach to life then reflects itself in our work, then reflects itself in our cooking. And it's quite fascinating.
Yeah. No, that is just so true. I think this whole intuitive approach to whatever we do is super exciting. We can just apply it to what we do. It just spices things up. It adds so much more flavor.
Tell me more about that. How do you find that an intuitive approach is spicing things up?
For me, as in my work.
Yeah, in your work, in your kitchen, whatever.
Yeah. Okay. It's just, I find that being bound by rules, recipes, templates, design templates, that kind of thing, it's so inhibiting and it kills creativity, really. If you're told, oh, you've got to do this step next and that step next, or you've got to, with this design template, you've got to put that there and do this here and blah, blah, blah. You don't have control over the outcome because it's already set for you, And so therefore, the creative mind just kind of sits in the backseat and goes, oh, well, it's already set. I don't really need to spark fire and whatnot. Yeah, you kind of land up. The result is a bit like everybody else's. So, the design template, you might use a different photograph for different words or different colors, but your work is still going to look the same as somebody else that used the same template. And it's the same with the recipe. If you follow the recipe step by step, your food is going to come out exactly the same as somebody else's food. And it's just a shame that we feel like, I don't know, it's almost like people feel that you should be doing it via a template or via a recipe so that it is almost like a success, like you're kind of guaranteed to have it a success. But to me, in my opinion, that's not a success, because where's your creativity come out? Where are you showing you in what you're doing, with regards to cooking and, me getting into the kitchen, if I just follow my own feeling for the day, like, what do I feel like eating first of all, or what's in my fridge, or, that kind of thing, and just go it intuitively, I'm always surprised. Like, I know that you've said it before, that you don't always know the outcome of what you're going to be cooking because it kind of comes along the way. And that's just amazing to me. Like, I love that. Really do. And you also don't have to worry too much about the dish not working or being a success, because if you are pouring your heart and soul into whatever you're cooking or whatever you're creating, it's going to be a success. Like, I have no doubt. So that's my approach.
Yeah, it's interesting that I find that I never worry about the outcome of my cooking, and it invariably is tasty. So I never worry about that. But then there are other areas of work where I don't have that confidence. It could be, designing some Instagram images, or it could be, trying to figure out what the correct next step in my business is, or these things where I am actually getting tripped up by all these templates, rules, whatever you want to call, and I really worry about doing it wrong. And I find this very funny that I can't translate that confidence, the trust in myself and that I know what I'm
Mm,
cooking to other
mm.
areas. I find this quite interesting. At least I'm aware of it now, how it doesn't translate yet for
Yeah,
me, but this is definitely something I want to keep
yeah,
practicing to translate that confidence and that trusting
mm,
to other areas of
yeah.
life, not just the cooking.
I think what really helps though is having a kind of basic knowledge. So, in the kitchen, you have a basic knowledge of how the herbs add flavor and basic, like, let's say we cook the onions first and then you add the protein and fry that up, and then like kind of basic steps that you can then broaden creatively to create different things, and swap in different ingredients and that kind of thing. So the basics in the kitchen, you know them really well, and that's probably when it comes to design, you're second guessing yourself. You're kind of thinking, do I really know enough of the basics to be able to put together something, to bring in the confidence? Because it's got so much to do with confidence, really. If you are 100% confident in the kitchen, and that comes out in your work. But with design and that kind of thing, you are second guessing yourself. And so the confidence is not up there. And so therefore it takes longer as well. And then you come with a final thing and you go, I don't know whether this is really good. I mean, it might be really, really good, but I think it's got a lot to do with confidence and just having like basic grounding, and then you'll be A for a way.
And I think maybe this is where our work is quite similar, that we help people to get that basic grounding. I do that with cooking and showing people that the patterns and the concepts behind the recipes. As you said, you start with the onion and then that's your next step, and you have these 3 steps, and then that's where you can play and swap and try new things
Mm,
within. And I guess this is what you are teaching your students in their realm of
yeah.
design, to give them that grounding so that they can then have the confidence to be creative, right?
Exactly, exactly. Because ultimately, I really don't want them to feel like they can't do it themselves. And I see it. I've seen it with quite a few of my students. As soon as it clicks and they go, oh, it's like a light bulb moment. Oh, it's something that just springs out to me at the moment is like composition. So I've designed my own grids where people can overlay those onto a design, and then it helps them to place a text and a photograph all in relation to each other. And as soon as they have that grid there and they go, oh, wow, this is helping me to provide the basic composition guide to be able to place my elements where I want them to be assured that at the end of the day it's going to look nice. I mean, it doesn't have to look perfect. I really don't encourage that at all, but we do want to have something that's eye pleasing. Otherwise we're kind of wasting our time. So and in the kitchen we want to have something tasty, otherwise we're wasting our time. Just having that grid there for them to just go whoop, 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 to be able to place the elements all in relation to each other so that they're eye pleasing really helps. It really gives them that confidence to just take their work to the next level.
Yeah. And again, the parallels with my approach to cooking and what I teach, because once you understand that basic pattern behind all the recipes, well, on the one hand, you can look at any recipe and you see, I mean, 95% of all recipes are based on the same one
Yeah.
pattern, actually. I mean, it's
Mm.
crazy. And once you start seeing that, then actually it becomes really
Yeah.
quick to just throw something together because you are following a pattern. And the same way, whether you want to simplify a recipe by stepping back and finding the pattern, or whether you are just, throwing something together with what you have without any recipe, both ways, having that
Yeah.
pattern and understanding that very basic structure, it's, as you said, the rule of thirds. Funnily enough, my basic pattern is also based on three
Yeah.
steps.
Yeah. The magic
So,
number 3.
and kind of approach to life, to cooking. Do you remember how learning cooking?
For me, learning cooking, it came when I was kind of in my teens. My mum was a nurse at a hospital and she used to work nights. And when she was working nights, she would say to me, "All right, well, there are the ingredients. You'll need to cook tonight for your dad and you." And before, she did give me the kind of basics, but never really went into, fancy cooking. It was just really comfort food. And, because she wasn't there, I had to just get on with it and kind of teach myself. I also do have very fond memories going really way back of when my grandmother helped teach me various things in the kitchen, but we didn't live in the same city. And it was only when we went on holidays down to Cape Town that we spent time with them. And then she would teach me how to make dough or a cake, or it was always sweet stuff. It was never anything savory. So then all of a sudden, when my mum threw me into the deep end and said, "All right, it's dinner on you tonight," I was like, "Oh, hell. All right, what am I going to do?" And then I kind of just figured it out. But it was basic stuff. So it wasn't, it was like, make mashed potato and fry the meat and steam the vegetables kind of thing, wasn't anything too hectic like stews and soups and things. But yeah, so at the end of the day, kind of really taught myself how to do it. And when I got married, then the pressure was on because, oh crumbs, now I have to have to cook for a husband. And yeah, fortunately, he went to the Air Force before he met me, and he'd gone through military food, canteen style. So the bar was low, and that was really, really great because I didn't feel the pressure. But I remember one of my kitchen tea presents was a recipe book that was just called The Basics. And it became my Bible eventually, and I still use it today. It had simple stuff that was just like three steps. And it kind of refined what I was doing. Yes. But then, as I went on, so the confidence came and I found myself hacking those recipes. I was like, yeah, what would happen if, or what would happen if I added this or took that away or that kind of thing. And that was when the creativity started coming alive. And my husband would, sit down to the dinner table and go, "Oh, what's this?" And I'd go, "It's something a la Lauren." And we'd all have a laugh. But yeah, we would all eat it and it would be great. And then, yeah, it's also been like a thing to try and get him into the kitchen to come help me as well.
So now you both cook.
Yes, although he will be more like my assistant, let's put it that way. I will say, "Okay, can you do this or do that, or get me this out of the fridge, or clean that, or whatever." But yeah, I'm kind of still ruling the roost in my kitchen a bit.
I find in my house, it's like my husband has taken over like the salad,
Yeah.
for example. So he just does the salad and he does dessert, which in our house is usually, very simple, sort of stewed fruit with cream and cinnamon, whatever. So, and I do the sort of the main meal, and that's great because I usually can't be
Mm,
bothered to worry about the salad. as well as cooking the main meal. So it's great that someone else has taken that over, and then we sort of don't get in each other's way. Because I think two people trying to cook at the same time doesn't
Yeah.
really work. And it would be great if I could remember exactly how the phrase,
Too many cooks spoil the broth, is it? Yeah.
yes, that one, exactly.
Yeah, it definitely does happen in my kitchen. I've noticed with him is when he's cooking a dish that he really loves, and I come in and go, well, I can help you. Let me do this or that. He gets quite defensive and goes, no, 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 no. I'm doing it here. It's my turn. Yeah, I think he learned that from me.
Well, you see. So what is it that you enjoy about cooking? I mean, why are you cooking? I mean, a lot of people these days don't cook that regularly anymore.
So I think just cooking for me gets me away from my computer, believe it or not. So, like during the day, I will go off and cook lunch. What I love to do is cook a soup for the week that I will have, I cook a whole batch of soup, and then for the days following, there's leftovers and I just eat those and I don't have to think about lunch or at the end of the day to cook dinner. If I wasn't cooking and if I wasn't in the kitchen, where would I be? I would be here at my desk working. When you're on your own, you're always finding things to do. But being forced to get into the kitchen because I've got to eat as well and I've got to cook for the family, it gets me away from my computer. And why is that important? Well, my back just really suffers if I sit too long. My muscles just go into a cramp. My doctor says to me, you need move more and, get up, move around and don't sit so long at the computer. But once I'm sitting at the computer and getting into designs, I can lose myself and I can sit there for hours and I don't even know that the time has passed. And then, yeah, all the trouble starts because then I get up and I was like, ooh, that hurts. But when I'm hungry and I have to go and cook, then it's a good thing. Then I'm moving. And also being in the kitchen is good for movement as well. Bending down, picking up, getting things out of the fridge, it's kind of like a whole exercise routine. So that for me, cooking is like it's good for my health. Not just cooking healthy food, it's just good for me in movement, believe it or not.
That's really interesting that you almost describe cooking as, your break time or your me time.
Yeah, like therapy.
I wish more people would see cooking as that rather than this mountain, this chore that you must get in, to say, yeah, it is an opportunity to have a break and just have, some time to relax while you are throwing some things in a pot for a
Yeah,
tasty meal.
yeah,
So I find that too, that, starting to cook is the sort of, okay, I'll finish for the day and now we're gonna, relax, make some food, sit down and enjoy dinner. And
yeah,
that's the family time.
yeah.
That is, okay, work day is over and now the fun starts.
That's exactly right. So many people see it as a chore, but for me, it's a wonderful way of just getting away from the day to day and just getting lost in good ingredients, wholesome food, things that are really good for the body and all the rest of it. And it really doesn't have to be hard. Three ingredients can make the most amazing dish, and three steps as well. So yeah, and I'm all for simplicity as well, just keeping things simple. This is where that crossover with our work as well, just less is more is my motto. And we really don't need to complicate life with doing too much in design and doing too much in the kitchen. Just keep it simple.
So what are some of the things you are cooking up? What are you eating today or this week?
Mm. Well, tonight, because it's actually 7 o'clock, just had dinner and I cooked the family favorite of it's a tomato pasta sauce that I cook from scratch because I can't stand the bottled version. Tastes synthetic to me. So I grab the tomatoes and garlic and olives and what else goes in there? Red pepper. And yes, and so you just chop everything up. I don't like tomato skins though, so I've got to take the skins off the tomatoes. I boil the kettle and put the tomatoes in a bowl and throw the hot water over them, and that helps the skins come off and that sort of thing. And yeah, just make a beautiful tomato pasta sauce from that. Don't cook too fast because the tomatoes got to get all lovely and pulpy and mushy. And then the garlic infuses with olives, and it's just so yummy. And it's turned out to be one of my son's favorite dishes that I landed up because he's living in Brisbane now. He's gone off to uni. And just before he left for uni, about 2 years ago, he came to me and he said, Mum, since I'm going to be living on my own, would you be able to teach me how to cook some things? And I'm like, yes, sure, no worries. Oh, this was just so wonderful for me having my son in the kitchen because up until then he was very absent. And the first thing that I cooked him was this dish, this tomato pasta sauce, because it's cheap, perfect for student, it's quick, and it's very, very tasty. And then you can just add whatever pasta you want. So whenever I cook it at home here as well, whatever's left over, I put in the freezer so that when he comes back to visit, he gets a little gift of, we call it pomodoro pasta sauce. And off he goes with his pomodoro sauce from back to uni. And now his partner is a firm lover of my pomodoro pasta sauce now too. So the two of them have it together. Yeah. And so that's one dish. And then another dish that the soup that I've decided to make this week is also tomato based. And it is with broccolini. I just call it a healthy vegetable soup. I am a vegetarian as well. And so this soup is also really tasty, just adding carrot and celery and tomatoes. Stock. That is one thing that I really want to get to. Maybe, hopefully, one day when I have the time, is to make stock from scratch. Because at the moment, I'm just buying the store-bought one. They're as natural as possible. I always read the ingredients. But yeah, I really want to start making my own stock. And then what else have I got on the recipe list for this week? Fish. Love fish. So yes, I said I was a vegetarian, but I sneak a bit of fish in there every now and again. So I suppose you call me a pescatarian. I love salmon, and I just grill it in the oven, just really simply. I don't like to overcook fish. My husband doesn't like overcooked fish either. So we just have like baked potatoes, salmon, and some broccolini. Do you have broccolini where you live? Like baby broccoli?
We tend to have the tender stem broccoli, which is more like long flowers, not tiny florets.
Yeah, that's it. The long stem. That's a long stem.
Mm, right,
Yeah. That's what we call broccolini here. It's the long stem
right,
with
I see.
the little broccoli floret thing on the end.
Yeah, yeah.
Y-
So I think that we call that tender stem here.
Yes, yes. So they use broccolini a lot in Asian food, and living in Australia, there's a very definite, huge Asian fusion story going on, and that is one thing that I've learned to love when I've moved here is my love of Asian flavors. Thai curries or Japanese ramen. Oh man, like they are so flavorful. Yeah, we were just talking about my daughter's birthday's coming up next week, and we were saying, where would you like to go for your birthday? Because we always go to a restaurant. And she was like, ooh, I think I feel like a good ramen. And so, yeah, we've got a favorite ramen restaurant that we go to. So I cook a lot of Asian food here at home too, because it's also so simple. Like just a few ingredients and you've got the most flavorful thing coming out. It's wonderful.
Yeah, I love Asian flavors too. I think these Asian kitchen traditions, they really have this bold flavor in built. Yeah, and it's not necessarily complicated. I think there is a lot of contrast in there. I love the sort of contrast of sweet and salty, say, or hot and salty. There is a certain freshness to it as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And they don't overcook
Yeah.
their vegetables either. I love vegetables to still be crunchy when you bite into them. So just a quick, a stir fry, if they're going to stir fry something, it's just a psh, psh, and then done. Or when they do their curries, their sauce is already formed and ready, and they just add the fresh vegetables to that. So hardly cooked, and it's just so tasty. When you bite into the vegetables and they're still crunchy and sweet, it's just wonderful. Love it.
And now, my kitchen friends, it's time for a quick break to see what I've been cooking up for you. If you ever feel trapped by recipes or wish you could get more creative in your kitchen, I made a free mini course. It's called Ditch the Recipes, and it's a short series of 5 emails that will help you get started on your intuitive cooking journey. Sign up on the website at theintuitivecook.co.uk/free or find the link in the show notes. And now, let's get back to our conversation. Do you have like a go-to, like emergency meal when you don't have time or you don't fancy cooking? What is the simplest kind of quick thing you've got?
Yeah, it probably is my pomodoro sauce, because I always have those ingredients in my fridge or in my pantry. I'll always have the olive oil and the tomatoes in the fridge and the olives, the bottled olives and that sort of thing. So, yeah, that probably is my emergency meal. And also because it's just loved by everybody. And it's just so super easy to do. It's like that's the steps to success. Simple, loved, and have the ingredients ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, what others in our family think about the meals is really important, isn't it?
Mm,
That when you are cooking for your family, it's not just about what you want, but also what they want.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's been a thing for my daughter to get used to, because it was round about the age of 14. I said to her, "All right, come on. I think it's time. Time's up for packing school lunches now. For mummy to keep doing it, I think it's time for you to start packing your own school lunches." And it was quite a lesson for her. So I've got to be healthy, but I've also got to put things in there that I like. And didn't always stick to the healthy parts, really, gotta say. But she got there in the end. She's 18 now. She's been doing it for 4 years. It's finally starting to write home to the stick to the healthy. But yeah.
Well, I guess this is a learning process we all have to do, especially this day and age where it's more normal to eat the packaged crap
Mm,
than the other way around. I noticed earlier you said, you made a point about cooking the tomato sauce from scratch
mm,
as if it was slightly weird,
yeah.
not to use the bottled stuff rather than the other way around. Why do we have to justify why we're not using the bottled stuff? It should be the other way around.
Yeah, you're right. You are so right. We're just so conditioned, really. I suppose also we're all busy people. And so when it's already bottled and they're on the shelf to grab and we're tired, it's the end of the day. Who really wants to be making a sauce from scratch? But I just can't. It, it's worth every minute of the 10 minutes that it takes me to make that sauce. It's worth every minute to make it from scratch, because the flavor is there. And I noticed, like with my daughter, that she will, in preparing her school lunches, she does instinctively reach for the bottled sauce. But then the bottled sauce gets probably eaten one of those meals, and then it's the rest gets discarded in the fridge because she actually realizes, no, she doesn't like it. And that to me is just terrible because I hate waste, and so yeah, she's definitely going to need to start learning how to make my sauce.
Well, she'll be going off to uni soon as well, is she?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, she is. She'll be realizing the stark truth of cooking at home and the expense and the waste.
Yeah, but spending 10 minutes on making a sauce from scratch isn't really that much time, is it?
No, it isn't. Not at all. I mean, people spend hours doing various things, and I don't think I could do that. But yeah, that, and that's like getting back to learning stock. You're making it from scratch, yes, but it also doesn't take you long because I would do it in a slow cooker, and you just chop up all the veggies, put them in there, and then throw the water in, and then close the lid, and 24 hours later, you've got a beautiful stock. So yeah, that is my next thing. I'm going to be definitely doing that.
Yeah, it's just a matter of doing it. It's not really that it's so complicated. And then obviously freezing it for later use.
Yeah, I know exactly right. Actually, I think my dog eats better than we do, to be honest.
Well, that can't be true.
Oh no, wait, hang on a minute, Katerina. I'll tell you why. So she got glaucoma in her one eye and she lost it. Okay. So the vet said to us, all right, we have to watch the other eye now. And what are you feeding her? Because her diet is playing a major role in her overall health. So I said, all right, well, we're feeding her the usual kibble. And she goes, oh, wrong. I'm like, oh no, what now? She goes, no, we're going to have to put Coco onto a raw diet. And it's going to be only one protein. You can give her vegetables as well. So you can decide which protein to give her, but it must only be one. Okay. I'm going to try kangaroo because it's really the only organic, like certified organic food that you can get cheaper in Australia. So we put on the roux. She went well with the roux. And then the vet said to me, if you can at all, make her broth from the roux bones. Do that. So I was like, okay, fine. Now this is pescatarian. This is person that doesn't like meat. Anyway, I brought myself to do it because I love my dog to bits. So here I am making this roux broth, carrot, celery, roux bones, and apple cider vinegar. And you throw it all into a slow cooker and it does its thing for 36 hours. And now she gets broth every day. Now, tell me my dog doesn't eat better than me.
Yeah, that's amazing. But yeah, that is interesting. In a way, this is for me how I realized all the machinations of the processed food industry. It was through my animals as well.
Oh,
When my cat came to me because she found me, and
yes,
you know, suddenly I had a cat and three kittens
yes,
out of the blue, and of course, what does a cat eat? Cat food.
yeah,
So I went and bought some cat food, a tin that said cat food on it.
yeah.
And to cut a long story short, a few months later, the cat got ill, and I was sort of frantically researching things on the internet. And I accidentally came across this idea of cats are carnivores, therefore, they need to be eating raw meat because that's what they're designed to be eating. They're not designed to be eating whatever is in that can
Yeah,
or in that kibble.
yeah,
And it kind of hit me like a ton of bricks
mm,
because until that moment, it just had not occurred to me that a cat would eat anything else except something that says cat food on it.
yeah,
It never occurred to me that I could give her a chicken wing and that this was actually much better
yeah,
for her.
yeah,
And and I realized how brainwashed I was,
yeah.
that it just did not occur to me.
Mm,
And I immediately made also the connection, like if I'm so brainwashed about cat food and I didn't even have a cat until 10 years ago.
yeah,
So if it didn't occur to me, how brainwashed will I be about human food and what is considered normal food to us. And this is, I think, when I started
Yeah.
thinking differently about food, and sort of realizing all the marketing ploys and all
Yeah.
the more something is shouting at you that it's healthy, like, apples and carrots don't have a label on it that says it's healthy. Apples and carrots just exist.
Yeah.
It's the other stuff that has labels on them, shouting healthy or good for your heart or low fat or whatever they might be
Yeah.
shouting. High fiber, or an apple is high fiber too. It doesn't say so
Mm.
on the apple.
Yeah, no, absolutely. There's a thing here in Australia they call the health food rating, and it's got like 5 stars. And if a food has 5 stars, it's like really, really healthy. And if it's only got 1 star, then it's not so healthy. And I am amazed. Honestly, when I look at that health star rating, I go, how did you even come to rate this like you've rated it? And just looking at the ingredients and how processed it is. And you are completely right how brainwashed we are, because mums will shop according to that health food rating, feeding their children that food, and I'm just like, you really, really need to just wake up, really need to wake up and see we are what we eat. And there's the pet food industry too. There's a huge drive nowadays to steer us away from the highly processed pet food. We were looking after a friend of mine who lives just around the corner here, her dog over the weekend, and her dog also suffers from a pancreatitis. And she goes, "Oh, I've just put Nala onto a raw kangaroo, but I feel she still needs the kibble." And I was like, why? Why does she still need the kibble? It's the kibble that's killing her, It's just so bad for them, kibble. And then you've got all of these different scientific pet food companies that are saying this is, the most healthiest food you can feed your dog. And they also sell it through the vets, making you think that it's healthier. Mm-mm-mm.
You have that with human food just as well. All this packaged stuff is killing us too.
Yeah,
And nobody actually is. You come in my whole food shop. If you want to know, if you ask me questions, I'll tell you. But of course, it would be, it would have much more weight if their doctor was telling them that. I'm just a random person in a random shop. It would have so much more weight if doctors were telling people to just simply eat the stuff as it's coming out of the ground or off the tree or
yeah,
off the field.
yeah,
But somehow we still all think that this packaged stuff is somehow better because it's formulated by someone. I
yeah,
mean, it's kind of really. And
yeah,
and I find it quite funny if you start thinking about pet food or chicken feed. I keep chickens.
yeah,
The sort of idea that this pelleted food for chickens that is of course full of GM soy and God knows what from the Amazon,
yeah,
and somehow we're being told that this is better because it's exactly formulated than letting the chickens roam in the garden and giving them a bit of corn. And actually, if you give them the choice, they eat very little of the corn and just go and roam and scratch all
that's,
over the place.
yeah. They know what's good for them.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm,
And we don't believe that they know what's good for them or your dog actually knows what's. Well, with dogs, you can actually see how the kibble is addictive because given the choice, they will actually eat the kibble. And unfortunately, with humans, it's the same. Given
yeah,
the choice, they'll just go for the addictive crap,
yeah,
which is, it's nothing wrong with you. It's something is wrong with the food. That is the important thing.
yeah,
It's nothing to do with willpower or bad habits or being lazy. There is nothing wrong with you if
mm,
you find yourself that you can't stop eating that stuff because it's been engineered that way. So the problem is the food, not you.
yeah, yeah. And the problems with the advertisers as well, selling, they've got to make the food seem attractive somehow. So they just tend to say the right things, what people want to hear. I really would love to one day have a bigger property where I could grow my own veg. I've tried to do it in the garden that we have here, but there's not enough sun that comes through on the one side where there's big enough area. So yeah, but I think just be wonderful to be able to grow my own spinach and tomatoes, and you just need the right conditions and a little bit of water. That's it. It'd be wonderful.
Yeah, maybe some herbs in the meantime.
Yes. Yeah, actually that's true. Yeah, I could grow my own herbs because then you just need little pots. Yeah.
But maybe to finish off, what are your sort of favorite hacks that you might want to share with other people? What's your favorite tips?
Yeah, so I wrote some things here. My favorite hacks would be just really swapping out ingredients. If I see a recipe out there, invariably because I'm vegetarian as well, and pescatarian, and might come across a recipe that has meat in it, then I will switch out the meat for a vegetable or three, and kind of just make it, because I suppose the meat, if you're doing that with a recipe and hacking and taking out the meat, you're still going to expect that kind of meaty taste at the end, if you know what I mean. So the trick is to try and bring in lots of herbs and spices and that sort of thing. And as I said to you earlier, I love Asian flavors. So bringing in Asian spices, or even I love harissa. I remember commenting once on one of your posts where I mentioned that I cook with harissa. I love that spice. So even when a recipe doesn't have a spice or two, because I've taken the meat out and added the vegetables, I add the harissa or other spices or other herbs and that sort of thing. So yeah, I definitely love to do the old recipe hack every now and again. And I never, if I am going to follow a recipe in inverted commas, I actually never follow it to the hilt. I'm always switching, swapping, and pulling out and adding. And yeah, so it's always interesting to see how it ends up.
Well, that's what I do too. I can't possibly follow a recipe to the letter. I'm always moving things around. But I like recipes for the ideas I get. Yeah.
Yeah. Our local supermarket puts out a monthly magazine. It's a free magazine, and I always take those because and flip through those once a month. As you say, just to get the ideas flowing. You're like, oh my goodness, I haven't cooked that kind of dish in a while. So yeah, I think I'll cook that. But instead of cooking it exactly like they say, I'm going to do this and swap and change things up a bit. But yeah, they're good for inspiration. It's like Pinterest in the design world, Nothing like scrolling through Pinterest to get a few design inspiration ideas, and use that like recipe books as well in the kitchen.
Yeah, that's a great tip to just keep feeding our inspiration, because we need to keep feeding our inspiration, whether it's design or cooking.
Yeah.
We need some input that will get our own creativity excited and then process that inspiration into something new.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, so, like I said earlier, sometimes you're tired, or, it's the end of the day, you just don't really feel like cooking. But as soon as you flick through the recipe books, things do change, and get inspired by something and then run with it, and just see where it lands up. Don't need to follow it step by step, but just allow it to inspire.
Yes. Oh, thank you so much, Lauren, for taking the time to chat.
Thank you. It's been wonderful. I've really enjoyed chatting with you about all things creative, and going with the flow and not being inhibited. So, yeah, you and I are for sure on the same wavelength here. And it's wonderful to
Yes.
be able to just have a heart-to-heart conversation about things. It's been great. Thank you.
Yes, it's been really enjoyable. So thank you very much. Thanks for joining us for this episode of At Home with the Intuitive Cook. Check out the show notes for links and tasty morsels. And remember, fresh episodes are served up every other Friday. Subscribe to stay tuned and keep exploring the joys of everyday cooking. Until next time, stay curious, trust your taste, and don't forget, It's not rocket science. It's just dinner.